Welcome to this session on design thinking as a new approach towards innovation. Uh, Innovation, we all know, friends, is related to creativity. In various products and services, we use innovative approach. So, as part of our orientation session, through Institute Innovation Council, we thought of having a session on a relatively new approach called as design thinking approach. Now, this approach was introduced earlier by Stanford University for their various products and services, and slowly it became popular, and thereafter Google started using this approach for their products and services. And Apple, as I said, Apple used, Google is using this design thinking approach. We have a Nike, the shoe manufacturer, who is using this approach. IBM is using this approach, and many such organizations are using this design thinking approach for developing innovative products and services. So let us have a brief introduction to this topic of design thinking. Let me share my screen, my PowerPoint presentation with you, friends. Now, to begin with, we have innovation through design thinking approach that we'll be discussing uh, briefly, as I said. Now, let us try to understand what is the difference between uh, conventional design approach and design thinking approach as such, friends. And before we go to it, let us see the definition part of it. Uh, Wait a second, I will just try to have full screen. Yes. So, what is this design thinking approach? Let us see one by one. A systematic approach to solve design problems by understanding users' needs and developing insights to solve these needs. See, what is the difference, friends? Earlier, in designing innovative products, uh, we used to focus on the product itself, how the product can be, how different materials can be used to develop the same product, how the aesthetics of the product can be altered so that aesthetically it will be nice. Some ergonomic concepts we used to incorporate in the product. We used to look for some financial constraints, looking for financial constraints. We used to look for better functional design. So these were the conventional approaches during the product development. Now, what is a different approach in design thinking? As is mentioned clearly, it's a systematic approach to solve design problems by understanding users' needs, so underlying users' needs. So, human-centric design approach or human needs are or users' needs are first of all studied, and based on users' needs and reactions, the features are incorporated in the product or services so that the end user will be the focal point. And keeping that end user in mind, the new product and services are developed. Now, what is the difference in the conventional design approach, conventional product design approach, and design thinking approach? Now, the conventional design is carried out by individuals. You have a design engineer, you have a product design engineer. He sits in his design office and he develops newer and newer products based on his own past experiences, by having some references, earlier references, by studying the existing designs, and he uses his knowledge regarding materials, geometries, ergonomic considerations, functionalities, economic considerations, and he develops the products. We are talking about individual product development. And here, as you can see here, you have concepts of engineering and technology used by the product designer, and some art, in a sense, aesthetics, artistic considerations are also given while developing a new product. Whereas design thinking is an approach wherein instead of a single individual developing a product, a collaborative effort is put in. So this is the difference in conventional design approach and design thinking approach. Now we have a collaborative team, which does not necessarily have only engineers. There'll be engineers from different disciplines, but there'll be common people also who are concerned with the product. There'll be some end users also involved in this team, while developing a new product. This design thinking approach is based on experiences. So actually, you carry out the observational studies. You ask the people who are concerned with the product to share their experiences. You take down the notes. What are the needs of the customers? What are the needs of the user? What are the problems faced by the users? And based on those experiences, you come out with a better product and better service. So here, if you see the set, you have the it is, as I said, it is human centric. Concerned end user is also involved in design thinking, plus business viability is also considered in design thinking, which was absent in my individual product design practice. Whereas in my design thinking approach, I have involvement of technocrats, involvement of business personnel, or giving economic considerations, giving market considerations, and plus human needs are also addressed. So this is difference in the approach of design thinking. Let us move further. What is this design thinking approach? Basically, there are 5 steps involved in this design thinking approach. Now, various models are available. Now, in UK or Europe, you have a 4-step approach in design thinking. In US, you have 5-step approach. In various countries and various organizations, these are slightly different, but the core or the crux of the approach is same. Now, what are the basic steps? Let us see these basic steps. First step is empathizing. We'll see what is empathizing in details. Then, in empathizing broadly, we interact with people, we observe the products and services, and then we prepare through a questionnaire by questioning on various issues based on the need, the difficulties faced by the user. We arrive at some alternative design, so to say. So we define, tentatively, we define what should be the modification, what should be the changes in the features of the product, what should be the changes in the methodology of the approach, changes in the methodology of services while rendering services. So we tentatively define these modifications, and then tentatively, once my problem definition is done roughly, then the next important step is ideation. Now, ideation, it's a sort of brainstorming I carry out. I involve all the stakeholders concerned with that product or services. Then what I do, first of all, I call them together, I ask individuals' views, and I try to get as many alternatives as possible. I don't bother whether those are feasible or not. I'll just generate various newer and newer ideas related to this product or service. So this is the step called as ideation. And then there, as I said, in ideation, I have got two stages. First, diverging ideation. I get number of maybe hundreds of ideas together, and then I filter out these ideas. And that is the converging phase of my ideation. Now, in converging, I apply the criteria about the product feasibility, design feasibility, business viability, marketing viability. So, based on these filters, I just filter out these number of alternatives those I have developed, and I filter out and I converge on or I arrive at one or two new designs or new approaches or new service conditions, so to say, through ideation. Then, on those converged ideas or practices, I build a prototype. Now, prototype, not necessarily a physical prototype, it can be a virtual prototype also. It can be a 3D model also in the virtual environment, or it can be a wax model. It can be some model made out of some alternative material, which is cheaper in cost. And what I do is I develop a prototype, and once I develop the prototype, I get to know many other challenges related to those products or services. In services, what I do is I have a simulation environment that is created, and I have got so many simulation modeling softwares available. So whatever new services I am developing, I can simulate those conditions, and I can see how those services can be rendered effectively. Now, these prototypes. So the next step is prototyping. So I started off with empathizing, then definition, then ideation, then prototyping. And after the prototypes are built, those prototypes are subjected to testing. As in the case of physical models, I subject these models to various testing criteria. If it's a consumer product, okay, I'll get the feedbacks from the end users. I'll get the feedbacks of the stakeholders involved, right? If it's a physical product. Now, if it is virtually developed prototype, I'll just run the simulations in various conditions to which those services will be subjected to. And I run those test simulations in a virtual environment. And I just try to validate which one is the best prototype, which one gives me the best results. And based on that, I come out with an innovative product or innovative service. Remember, this is not a linear approach. Don't think that I have a linear steps like I empathize, I then define and ideate, prototype, and test and release the product or service to the market. It's not a linear process. What happens is it's a purely non-linear process. What do you mean by non-linear process? While defining a new problem or new product or new service, I may have to go back and get more answers to the questions. Okay, I'll be asking various why questions. Whether this definition of the problem is correct or not, I'll just backtrack. While ideating also, while generating the alternatives also, maybe I get a feedback and I go back to this definition phase or empathizing phase. So I'll be having so many loops. So in a sense, it's an iterative process. I go forward, come back, redefine, go forward, come back, redefine, go forward, come back, redefine. So there'll be so many feedback loops involved in that, right? So it's a continuous iterative process till I get the best or optimum product or service. So this is in general a design thinking approach. We'll study each step one by one to some details. So the first step is empathize. Empathy is the foundation of the whole design thinking process. So immerse, what is empathizing? Immersing yourself in the user's experience to uncover deep needs and insights. So what do we mean by this? We have to put ourselves in the shoes of the users. if I'm going to use this product or services, what will be the feeling I'll be having? What will be my needs? What will be my difficulties? So this is what is called as empathizing. An empathy study will give you new perspective on the lives of your users, including the challenges they face, the things they keep them up at night, and the moments they delight. So what is a good experience, what is a bad experience of the end user, we can get through this empathizing exercise. So a statement of purpose, a problem definition, business idea or opportunity, identify who are going to be the users of this new product or services. Then, during empathizing, I identify what are the issues related with product or services, what are the challenges faced by this product or services, what are the pains or difficulties, what are the bad experiences related to this in this product or services. So, users' unmet needs we try to identify through this empathizing phase. Then, the designer gets an insight into these problem areas. He also tries to get information through interviews, through observation, and then putting yourself in end user's shoes. We try to find out what are the problem areas from the end user's point of view, and based on that I develop one empathy map. So what are the strengths of my products, what are the difficulties in the product or service. So what is a painful part of this product or service? What are the bad experiences related to that? What are the good experiences related to that? Can I do it in a better way? So you get users' insights and requirements through this empathizing phase. Then I define tentatively, I define a point of view. Okay, POV, reframing the problem. So based on the user's experiences, I tentatively define a problem. Maybe based on the existing mixer design, let us say, while identifying the user's experiences, maybe a housewife using that mixer, what are her viewpoints? Okay, it is getting hot. It is difficult to hold the container. Uh, I need to hold the motor or the motor casing while I'm putting the mixer in use. Whatever are the problems and difficulties faced by the end user, I just jot them down through empathy map. I tentatively define the problem. So maybe in the case of a mixer, develop a mixer with a strong bass, with least vibrations, with least noise, can be a tentative definition of my alternative design. So I, through this definition process, I reframe the problem with user's point of view, which will lead to more innovative solution spaces. Add new perspective to the problem. Include what you know, learned the user. Okay, what are the user's experiences here, incorporating and defining the alternative problem. Now, the next step is empathizing, definition, then ideating. As I told you, I have got two approaches in ideating. I get in touch with the users or the stakeholders. I generate as many ideas as possible based on my definition of a revised, reformed definition of a new product or new service. So I flare out and generate as many ideas as possible for the problem we redefine, and from the point of view you identified. So get the team into physical space, get them energized, involve stakeholders from various backgrounds, and then I generate the ideas in a divergent way. Then I put the filters to reduce those alternative ideas generated by putting the filters of design feasibility, manufacturing feasibility, assembly feasibility, financial feasibility, market feasibility, business feasibility. Using these filters, I just filter out those alternatives and come out with one or two most feasible alternatives. So as I said, through the empathy map, I get so many inputs, and then in divergent thinking, different perspectives on the topic. I ask why this, why not this. So I ask many why questions, and I arrive at multiple options to solutions. So I get multiple ideas in divergent thinking, and then putting the filters of business viability, desirability, technical and financial feasibility. I put these filters, and through convergent thinking, I come out with one or two alternatives which are most feasible. So I incorporate different perspectives, arrive at a decision, meeting moderation process for consensus, and come out with a finite number of solutions. Because in divergent thinking, maybe I get hundreds of alternatives. So I converge down to two or three most feasible alternatives, and from that I'll be selecting one or two alternative ideas for my prototype building. So we saw ideation, then prototype building. You just sketch by using pencil and paper, or use your softwares, design softwares, solid modeling softwares, and come out whatever you have jotted down. These are the features required in my new product or new services. Develop the prototypes. So prototyping helps us to learn and solve disagreements, test the hypothesis quickly and with minimal repercussions. Okay, so in prototyping, as I discussed earlier, I build a physical model physically, and then maybe out of alternative materials. If the original material is costlier, I build it with alternative materials. Take look for feedbacks, look for what are the problems with this new design, new geometric design, new ergonomic design, and I just you put this prototype to test later on. Or I build a virtual prototype using the softwares, and then that virtual prototype I subject it to various simulated environments to work out the feasibility of the most appropriate one. So moving further, and the final step is testing or validation. Whatever prototype I have selected, I test, subjecting it to various working environments, various working conditions. I get contextual feedback from the real users. I redefine the points of views. So based on the test results, I just redefine, go back. I redefine the problem, redefine the new design, and then I just continue the same process. I have the ideation process, and once again, I come out with a new prototype, and once again, subject that prototype to variety of testing. So after testing and validation, I put this new product or services which has met all the market requirements, all end user requirements, and then I subject it to put it in the market. So by using these 5 steps, I come out with better product and services. I get innovative product which is validated by the end user through my design thinking. So, as I said, so I reiteratively apply this design thinking process, empathize, define, maybe backtrack, once again carry out empathizing step, then ideation. Through ideation, I get few more alternatives. I go back, I redefine the given product or new design or new services. I go forward, build a prototype. I find out some limitations while building a prototype. I redefine, and once again ideate, and then prototype, and then subject this prototype to testing. And during testing, I find some difficulties or hindrances or some obstructions or some bad experiences. I go back, I redefine, and once again carry out the process. So iteratively, I apply this design thinking process and come out with the most feasible, most efficient product or service. And this has been proven, friends. We'll see some of the case studies. Before going into case studies, as I said earlier, this is the 5-step approach: empathize, define, ideate, prototype building, and testing. This was developed by Stanford Design School. This is one of the, let us say, framework for design thinking process. And there are many interpretations. And then we have IDEO as one of the design firms which came out with little modification in this design thinking approach. And then we have Google also came out with a 5-step approach. Understand, uh, only the names and titles are different. The crux or the philosophy is same. We called it as empathizing. Here, design Google Design Sprint calls it as understanding. Now, how you're going to understand? By interacting with people. In empathizing also, we are interacting with end user and getting the details. And then he has the diverge. Now, whatever ideation, divergent ideation we talked about. After definition phase, we had uh, divergent thinking approach. Google design uses this before the definition phase. Okay, slight modification. So I get divergent viewpoints from the team members, and then I define, and then I build a prototype, and then I test or validate. So more or less the similar, only the titles are different with slight modifications. Then SAP, the software programming company, also it also defined approach to plan, research, design, adapt, and measure. So this is a user-centered design thinking approach they use. Then we have Design Council UK. They call it as double diamond approach of design thinking. Define a strategy and execute a solution. So it's a four-step process of design thinking. Then we have Design for America. This is one of the firms. They have a six-step design thinking approach. Essentially, as I said earlier, the crux, the core of the thinking process is same. Only the labels are different. Identify, immerse, reframe. Right? We call it a define. Identify, immerse. Immersion is nothing but empathizing, right? Immerse yourself into the user's shoes and come out with the alternatives. Then ideate. This is the same phase. Prototyping, instead of prototyping, he's calling it as building, and then testing it. So the titles are slightly different. The core thinking or core approach in design thinking is same. Let us see a few of the examples which are already established and proven by many end users, and they have given wonderful results. So the first example that we are discussing is an electric toothbrush. It was a collaborative effort by the brush manufacturer Oral-B and a German electric gadget manufacturer Braun. Okay, so they applied this design thinking approach. They went to the people of different age categorizations, different races, different regions, different geographical regions, people having different ethnicity, different practices, and they came out with a design which provides, it doesn't require any pests as such, but they provided this head, electrical head, which can be exchanged, cleaned as per my requirement. In addition to that, they came out through the empathizing process. They came out with the end users' expectations, and they came out with a better product called as electric toothbrush, which was a hit, which is a hit in some of the markets. They also provided the music facility. It has a charging facility. It has got a USB port, and through that you have the charging facility for this vibrator. It provides you better brushing experiences. It does disinfection also, and it provides you the facility of listening to wonderful music. Right? Those similar features are provided to the end users, and all these are obtained through the feedback from the end user, and they came out with this electric toothbrush. The second case that we'll be discussing is the case of hospitality industry. Now, this Airbnb, they applied this design thinking approach by getting into the shoes of the people concerned with hospitality industry. They found out that we have isolated uh, cases of, let us say, the hospitality industry. We have a chain of five-star hotels, chain of hotels and lodges, and we have the customers will be using those facilities. So they thought of this hospitality industry in totality. Now, instead of looking only for the service providers, which earlier used to be only the hospitality industry people, they broadened the view, and they identified who are the people who can provide me the hospitality services, right? And they carried out the study, and they found out that there are many households in any of the town or the city. They have got sufficient space at their disposal. Maybe 1 or 2 rooms are available in a bungalow, in a flat, for which they want to earn some money, and they can rent it out as per the need, right? So the availability of hospitable rooms they identified first, and they identified the customers. The customers wanted to have, instead of going to a commercial five-star facility, they want to have a safe environment. They want to have a family environment. They want to have a paying guest type of environment. Even they are ready to pay for money, but the customers looked for safety and security and the hospitality. So these people identified both the aspects through design thinking process. By using all these 5 steps, they identified the gaps, and they developed various apps through which uh, the service providers. Now, the service providers are not only lodges and hostels and five-star hotels, but they were individual owners even. They also started sending the photographs of the rooms and facilities which are available in their apartments or houses, and then the end user or the customers, they were provided with these alternative facilities, and from that the customers selected which of the facilities they can have, sort of paying is sort of facility. So staying with food, staying without food. So these Airbnb people just were they did not own any of the lodges and hotels. Okay, so they just collaborated. फक्त जुगाड लावलं, एकमेकांच्या जोड्या. These are the service providers and these are the service seekers, and then it became an instant hit. And similar things like Airbnb is a very big name in the hospitality industry, and the important thing is that Airbnb doesn't own any of the lodges and hotels as such, but they are doing uh, multi-billion-dollar business in this hospitality industry, even better than some of the five-star hotel chains. So this is the outcome of the design thinking. And finally, the example of design thinking, which is relevant to India, the study was carried out by Borgen in India. They found out through the survey that most of the women from the rural areas, they were deficient with iodine. So this project was given by the health authorities in India to find a solution to overcome this iodine deficiency problem. Because of iodine deficiency, the problem faced by these women was they had some thyroid related problems, and then during pregnancy or whatever new child they used to give birth to, they used to have troubles during the delivery process, and they used to have uh, more mortality of these new infants. So this was related with iodine deficiency, and this Borgen form, this is called as Borgen project. Through design thinking approach, what they did was through empathizing, they went to people. Now the obvious solution was provide them with iodine pills or iodine supplementation, and they were not able to afford that, and they were not accustomed to taking this as a medicine to overcome this deficiency part. So what these people, design thinkers, did, they mingled around them. They have very many rituals and practices, as you must have observed in some communities and some areas. They have the pallu. They don't even talk to you eye to eye. So there are so many social restrictions and social practices. But these people mingle with them. They identified what are their practices. They then tentatively defined uh, what can be the problem definition, like to find out a solution to provide iodine supplements to these people, mm, with their participative involvement. So this was the definition part, and then they brainstormed how it can be done. They studied what are their routine practices, and they found out through this brainstorming process, divergent thinking by divergent ideation process. The regular practice is that they take bath, and then before praying to God, they put this bindi. So they call it as life-saving dot. This bindi they regularly put, and then they carry out their routine practices. So this was the study, and from that they came out with a convergent ideation approach, and they came out with a bindi which was soaked in iodine solution, and then this iodine soaked bindi was provided to these women, so that, and that iodine soaked bindi, when it was put on the forehead, that was easily absorbed through the skin, and this was the alternative approach through design thinking provided by this Borgian people. And see, so this was the prototype idea, and then they validated that by selecting the sample women from different regions, and to their surprise, when they got the feedback from the medical healthcare professionals, that slowly their iodine deficiency problem was solved, and this was appreciated world over. So this is the one of the best examples of a design thinking approach, and they rightly named it as life-saving dot. So this is how this design thinking approach, by considering the end users' needs and difficulties and problems, we can come out with a better product or services. We'll typically study uh, uh, a case study at the end of the session, and then we'll close. So these are few of the Jugaad projects I have downloaded. So they have suggested as one of the problems, pooling of transport vehicles for farmers. As we have Ola and Uber, just at the phone call through their app, we can get the taxi at our doorstep. They came out with a proposal to develop an app for the farmers even. So whenever they want to send their produce to APMC's, agricultural produce marketing committee, म्हणजे मार्केट यार्डाला पाठवण्यासाठी, through the phone call, these transport vehicles can be made available. So this was also outcome of some design thinking approach. So they have suggested a refrigerated hand cart as one of the candidate product for new product development, and then development of sustainable bridges. All these projects are already implemented. They've just quoted some of the successful examples in India. And in India, we see so many Jugaad projects which indirectly incorporate these design thinking approaches. This is a milkwala. During this pandemic, we had this problem of not touching, maintaining a social distance. As you can see, he's delivering milk through a pipe, a major quantity of milk, and there is no direct contact, maintenance of physical distance, and then the spread of pandemic can be reduced. Similarly, by using a tank, wasted tank or the damaged tank, they developed a toilet. Or by using a jugaad of my motorcycle, while migrating from one place to other, by using the same motorcycle, they developed one, so to say, a cradle and the carriage, all the entire family, and with the material it can be transported from one place to other. Some of the design Indian Jugaad projects which have the innovative ideas. Now, as I said, let us take the case of an incubator, which was gold, which is called as a gold standard, very successful product. As the outcome of design thinking approach, a team at the Stanford Design School were tasked with the project of designing a low-cost incubator for 1% of standard cost. Okay, the original cost of the incubator was $25,000. So this was the defined task for the team of electrical engineers, computer scientists, and MBA students. This was a difficult task. So what they did, they empathized. They carried out the first step, empathizing to innovate. The principle of human-centered design asked designers to empathize with the end user. The team moved ahead with the traditional approaches of innovation and applied the basic principle of design thinking in their work. One of the team members, Liang, went to Nepal so as to deeply understand the unmet needs associated with the incubator. So this was the empathizing phase. Then they defined the design challenge. How might we create a baby warming device that helps the parents in remote villages give their dying infants a chance to survive? So, in hilly regions of many places in these third world countries or developing countries, they found they are not able to afford to buy an incubator. Now, incubator which can maintain uh, appropriate temperature, right? For the newborn, they found out the study. The problem was identified as there is infant mortality is very high in many of these third world countries because of lack of incubating facility, and buying an incubator was out of question because it was costing very high. So the Stanford design school people were approached by the healthcare professionals, and they were given the task to develop an incubator or a warming device which should be affordable, should be low cost, and which can be used easily by the end user. So they defined this incubator, and then they carried out the mingled with the end user. They came out with alternatives. They developed a prototype. As you can see, the new baby warmer was developed, and then it was subjected to testing by the to the end users. The team took the prototype to India to get further feedback. They spoke to many moms, nurses, midwives, shopkeepers, and incorporated all the feedback to further iterate their prototype. After extensive clinical testing and making over 100 prototypes, the Embrace, the name is also so apt and appropriate, Embrace infant warmer was finally born, which costed little less than $25. So this was the objective was met. The cost was reduced from $25,000 to $25. So cost price reduced, and the features functionalities were maintained. It was portable, even easily detachable. It could be easily put on, and the same results they could get. So friends, this is a typical case of a successful design thinking approach implementation. I think you must have understood some of the features of design thinking approach. So thank you very much for your patient listening.